I want to just welcome you all on this webinar this evening. It's getting started as a club referee classroom to pitch. So it's a topic that we haven't done before, and it's something that we're going to try and help out all those new referees that are logging on this evening or that might watch back. There's a few tips on getting from the classroom. We're pretty good at getting everybody into the classroom and getting the training done. But a lot of county boards will be coming back just to say they're finding it a lot harder to actually get them onto the pitch. So we're hopefully going to try and look to see why that is and if there's anything we can do to help. So I'm Claire Dowdall, and I am the National Referee and Player Development Officer for Ladies Football here in Croke Park. And with me this evening we have Sinead McHugh. Sinead is actually one of our referee tutors. She definitely taught me a thing or two when I started in the job. And she's been really great in terms of, she did our female leadership program, and she's now been refereeing as well. She's been refereeing in the county, and she's in refereeing with Leinster. So Sinead's going to come on board this evening and give us a few practical tips and maybe share a few thoughts and feelings in her journey and different bits that she wished she had known when she was leaving the classroom to go onto the pitch. So Sinead, if you want to say hello there.
Hi Claire, and hi to everyone. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, hopefully Claire, there'll be a few questions. Hopefully I'll be able to answer a few, give some feedback.
And she's a good Donegal woman as well. Just as well, get that in there, Sinead.
So Donegal via Dublin and Wicklow.
Yeah, you have all three counties covered.
Yeah.
What we're going to cover this evening is just a brief overview of understanding the referee pathway. Sometimes that can be a challenge in its own, so I think it's important to know what it is. Then maybe how to prepare for games, finding a mentor, which is one that we always talk about, and then just starting your journey. So that's the basis of what we're going to cover this evening. So just to set the scene, those that are on this evening, I just want to have a look, and if you can let me know, how long are you refereeing? So just check the wee box. If you just started, so you're in the 0 to 12 months sort of range, are you with us 2 or 3 years, or anything 4+? Just let us know. So good, most have just started, Sinead, so we're definitely going to have some people that would like a few tips this evening. So guys, though, because you've just started, don't be afraid to ask any questions that pop into your head. We'll try our best to answer them as we go along. The next big question we're going to ask you is, what do you think are the biggest barriers of refereeing at club level? So that's always a big one that I would ask people. What do you believe are the biggest barriers? Is it too afraid to make a mistake? So when you get onto the pitch, you don't want to hold the whistle, too much responsibility. Knowing the players, so there's that awkwardness. Not getting appointed to games, a lack of rule knowledge, or a lack of confidence. So a bit of a mixed bag, but it's coming in half and half, which is quite funny. So a lack of rule knowledge is coming in there, and a lack of confidence. I suppose, Sinead, when you were starting out, what would you have picked out of that list?
Probably, yeah, lack of confidence would have been one, and too afraid to make a mistake actually would have been the other one. I probably was in a lucky position that I probably knew the rules, as in Claire, you said earlier on, I'm a referee tutor as well, but I possibly knew the rules and didn't know how to apply them, and that was my problem. I would have found, though, watching referees and watching games, so watch back the games. Do you know, like the way the Ldfa have now, all the games are linked. I would watch those back in order to try and help me to be able to identify the rule and to apply it. Yeah, lack of confidence is one as well, but I found you need to start small. You need to start small games, because reality is you're only going to develop your confidence by getting a few games under your belt and having good games. So that definitely was one for me. And I know, Claire, let's say not getting appointed to games, there was a times where I was frustrated that I wasn't getting games, maybe, but actually in hindsight, it's better off because you get too many games each week. You end up, well, I find anyway, you just do a bad job So you need to focus on the games that you have, knowing the rules, preparing well for them. And if you do a good job, that brings your confidence on. Like, and reality is, then you get more games.
Yeah, and I think the confidence and the knowledge that the participants picked there are really interlinked. Like you've nearly knocked it on the head. It's that knowledge to actually blow the whistle with confidence. You know, to see the rule, you can read the rule book all day and all night, but to be able to see the foul, blow the whistle, and then know the rule is probably the biggest challenge, is getting it all into gear. But I definitely think you don't get that unless you get the appointment, unless you step out there and start refereeing. You don't get it.
Yeah.
You definitely.
And it's even clear just to get that, you're saying to make the call so you can know the rule book inside out, but being actually, whenever you're out reffing, like you can actually, well, I found anyway at the start that it was case, you thought, oh, fitness was good or whatever, but once you go into a game, your fitness goes, but you don't know how many short sprints you're doing. So you do get tired maybe at times as well. And you're trying to, what did I see? Am I up with play? And then think rule book, blow the whistle, where am I going? So it's a lot to actually take on. So that's what I say. Yeah, start small and build. Yeah.
Build it with you, and that builds confidence. It brings everything with you. So just in the chat, guys, just for you, what do you think is the biggest challenge for new referees? So it was brilliant. All of you said you're very new to this. So tell us your experience just in the wee chat box, or share with us what you think the biggest challenge. We've talked about what we think the biggest challenges are, but for new referees stepping out there, what do you think the biggest challenge is? And I can nearly guess one of the things that'll come in probably straight away. I knew it, and there Dan's straight in with it. Abuse. Yeah. If you Google refereeing, it seems to be the number one thing that comes up. Never mind all the good work that goes on. Abuse tends to be, the biggest fear factor out there as well. In terms of conflict and getting abuse from the sidelines. I would say more so. Just you know more than about this than me, Sinead, but like it doesn't really often seem to be the players. It's more trying to deal with that abuse you get from the sideline and spectators.
Yeah, it's that clear. But you're saying, I know, yeah, sometimes there's abuse. To be fair, not a lot, I have to say. I found one way of dealing with abuse on a side, I kind of zone out. I don't listen to it. But if I can control the players on the field of play, then that goes a big way to controlling the sideline, I think, because I find now that I'm always communicating with the players. So if I tell them certain things, that's a foul, that's a free, why it is, and that's in the rule book, and I kind of say, listen, I'm sorry, but rule book is. So I find that players actually react to that in quite a positive way. So whenever you have supporters or the management team along the sideline, and they see the players aren't annoyed with your decision, like they know why you've made it, it actually helps the sideline. It helps the abuse, I find anyway, definitely.
I would agree with you. I think you nailed it there, Sinead, with what you said, your communication. If you're communicating well, and that's probably one of the biggest tips we can hopefully give anybody starting out here. If you can get on top of your communication, you're going to really enjoy refereeing. It's going to make life so much easier for you, because the communication is so powerful and so useful. I see something we talked from Emma, which is brilliant. It's just what we talked about, really. She's saying putting the rule book into action, knowing how to handle problematic players and watches, and watchers, so supporters. So I think that's just what the point we're trying to make here now. Your communication is just so powerful, and that, knowing that and learning, I think that's it. Like, you maybe have had a player or an incident and you've handled it one way and it's went really well. You bank that and think, okay, that worked today. But you might try to handle it the same way another day and it doesn't work. And you have to think, what was the difference there? Or what could I do different so that doesn't escalate? And it all comes down to your communication and your confidence in and around that.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose the other way, Claire, as well, I know we're always talking from the perspective of the referee in here, but you also have to think there's players as well, like that have trained for 9 months of the year, and maybe, it might be the last league game to get into the semi-final, like the passion's there for them as well. So sometimes it's actually even just kind of saying to them, listen, I know you're up for the game, but let's take it down a notch. I want you on the field to play for the game, like, so just take it easy now. That kind of idea as well. It's you always want to try and see what are the problems or what could potentially arise and stop it before it actually happens.
Nip it before it escalates.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really the self-awareness in and around that you need. You become self-aware and you believe why it happens, and it's probably remembering all the time when you're putting yourself out there, why are we choosing the referee? And this is a wee bit of a survey that we did, and I just think it always laughs me when it comes up. A lot of people chose to stay involved with the game, they love, and people laugh, but see referees, they're nearly, and they say that create friendships and have fun. Referees, from my experience, and I work with them, all the time, they're so chatty. You've never met a bunch of people. If you put referees in a room, it would be silent for more than a second. They're always talking about incidents and games and scenarios and rules, and they're actually a real chatty bunch from my experience anyway. So they definitely do it to stay involved. A lot of the times we're hoping to get more people, like past players, involved, and want to reach out. Everybody always runs to coaching. We'd like to see sort of more of a change in and around refereeing, because it can definitely be a very sociable thing. Would you agree, Sinead?
Yeah, definitely. Like I would say, like a lot of friends now, a good few of them are actually referees. The refereeing week in, week out and that. So they're a great support system as well. But yeah, you just like different parts of the country, you get to go work with different people in the games, and yeah, it's like your sport, like it's like what you used to play yourself, and you had that network of your 20 or 25 players in your squad. This is the same thing. They're just in different parts of the country, and you're not training together, 3 nights a week, but you still have the contact, you still have the crack. And like you're saying, Claire, like, yeah, meeting up and, with games and that. And like this weekend was classic example, like O'Connor Cup was on, and, you know, it was nice. You catch up with a good few of them and like that, discuss incidents and whatnot. Yeah.
You get a cup of tea and there's chat, but there's also that feeling good, knowing that you're giving something back to your club and county, and that's a big part of it, feeling like you're still involved. And obviously staying fit, both the benefits that it has for both mentally and physical, giving you that headspace and opening them lungs, developing personal and professional skills. To be a referee, you have to do everything. You have to be a brilliant communicator, negotiator, problem solver, observer, your skill, team player, your skill set, just the net thrown out there, it's really, really good. Inspire the next generation of players, especially in and around the females. If we want other females to become referees, they have to be able to see females refereeing the sport and at a standard, and that's why it's so great that we have so much more women starting to come up and choose refereeing, and so that people understand it's not acceptable to do that. Many people start their refereeing journey and fall away after the first 6 months. And this is important, and it's very true. From completing a course due to a lack of support or a lack of knowledge of the next step. And myself and Sinead have both delivered courses all over Ireland. And that's probably the thing that always comes back to me. We might have 20 in that room, and a county board might only ever see 10 of them out. We do seem to have a barrier of between getting out there and getting the rules and then getting them active and getting it onto the pitch. And when we looked into it, and I conducted a few surveys and things, a lot of it was around support. Referees just didn't have that confidence to take the next step, or didn't have that support system in place. And counties that had that support system in place, the referees did manage to get across and get onto the pitch. But the support can definitely make a difference, and it's something we have to really try and up.
Yeah, Claire, to be honest, I actually was one of those referees. Yeah, I actually like that. I would have been tutoring, I don't know, for a long number of years, and like that, I was handed a whistle just to referee a local game at home, a challenge game, and I was one of those referees where I actually walked away after that game. I was like, definitely not for me. Hindsight, I'm sorry I did walk away. At that stage, I was probably only maybe 18, 20 at the time, but I'm sorry now that I actually did walk away. It was a local challenge game down at my home pitch, and like that, there was a little bit of abuse, but I probably wasn't properly prepared for the game anyway, number one. But now hindsight, like that, Claire, you're saying, like the feel good factor of it, I enjoy doing it. But the sense of satisfaction that you get from actually doing a good game, it's sort of you and your team of umpires or lines people, as opposed to you as a 20-person squad. Yeah, I'm kind of sorry that I didn't stick with it. I'd be kind of thinking, where would I be now, my refereeing journey, if I had stayed with it at that age, as opposed to it was possibly nearly 8-10 years before I'm back to it again.
Yeah, it's mad though, isn't it, to see how long it stretched out in the end,
Yeah.
and where it can go. And I do believe it goes down to that support you need. I'd say if someone picked up a phone to you after that game, or you had somebody down watching you as a mentor, it could be in a different story. And it's something that we have to try and get rectified and get changed and get support out there so that we don't lose people on their journeys.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's just even getting someone in your club or something, like that. Yeah.
Just somebody that understands.
Yeah.
So guys, for you that are on, we do have a referee pathway. So it's a lovely wee whistle there, as you can see. And it starts off with our goal games, and then with our youth, adult, provincial and national level. So that's the pathway in and around ladies football. So these are the courses that go with it. So what people hopefully understand now is our goal games is non-competitive. So we have a goal games course, and you have to go through a couple of the skills, etc. But it's all teaching you around, it's non-competitive. So refereeing at that level should be about the children having fun and the referee learning and developing their skills. So that's our goal game level. You have to be 15 to be a goal games referee. And we can do an online course, or we do it face-to-face now at the minute. And then after that, with the youth club course. So that was something we believe was sort of missing in terms of our pathway. So now you must be 17, and that allows you to referee competitive games at under 12, 14 and 16 in your club, so or in your county. So you must be 17, and you can now referee competitive games. So teams, the scores can be taken. And it's an introduction into the next level of refereeing and looking more towards observing and skills and rules all along it. And then we have our adult course. So our adult course allows you to referee everything at adult level, minor, and everything competitive. You must be 18 years of age to be an adult referee, and you must then complete the annual refresher course every year to maintain that qualification. So you'll see underneath that is our annual refresher. To be an adult referee in ladies football by the rule book that'll show you next, you must complete a rules refresher every year to keep on top of that. And that's really important. Once you've all them done and you're refereeing a while in your club, and if you're enjoying it and getting on well, you can apply to be your provincial referee, and you do the provincial accelerator program, which is really an 18-month program to qualify to referee in your province. So we have set referees for Ulster, Leinster, Munster and Connacht, and they all referee the games within their province. And once you're all around there, and if you're going well, you can apply to do the national program. And the national referee program are all the guys refereeing our inter-county games week in, week out. So our Little National League and our TG Cahir Championship, they're all involved in our national referees. And at the minute, we have a panel of about 35 national referees in and around delivering all them games. That's what we're sitting at the minute. Again, there's a course for 18 months in order to go on that. And we sort of do that every year. So that really is the essence of it. And what people aren't aware, and this rule has come in and is in our official guide, all club adult games within counties must be officiated by a referee who has completed an Ldfa referee education course, and they must attend the annual rules refresher course to maintain their qualification. So that's really important. It's about standards. It's about trying to make sure for players and for coaches and for everybody that when the referee picks up that whistle, that they've actually did an Ldfa course and they know the rules and that they're up to date with them. Like we've Congress every year. We've just had Congress there and with new rule changes for 2022. And it's important that our referees know these and are applying them across the board. So that is our pathway, and there is a stage for everybody to get on and jump aboard that pathway at any stage they want to. So you can move up the ladder at your own pace. And I think it's important to do that. Take your time. and move up it as you go along. And if you ever need any information, it's all on our website in terms of that pathway. And there's loads of other wee programs that can help upskill you as you move along. So preparing for games. So this is one that we're always asked about all the time. What would you recommend for preparing for games? So I thought these pictures were just really appropriate to talk about to begin with. We've talked about what you need. I think from going from the classroom, so for me, the classroom, we're learning all about the playing rules. So you see the playing rules, lovely wee rule book there for 2021. That'll be being upgraded now to 2022 because Congress is over. And we go through that in the classroom. So that's our classroom base. And then it's trying to get that into where you see the other two pitches, both of the guys, that's Shane and Maggie, are on the pitch. And that's where we want to get to. So we want to get the knowledge of them rules, which you have to know. You have to know the playing rules so you can apply them. And then it's getting them on the pitch. So a couple of things that preparing for games you have to start getting good at. I'm going to bring Sinead in that. When I took that picture of Shane, which is the next one, the big thing that hopefully strikes out to you is he's wearing, look at his arms, he's nearly weighed down. 2 watches in each arms, and that's something that is a big tip, I think, anyway, going from the classroom onto the pitch. And you know, what do we be talking about when we're talking about having possibly more than 1 watch as referee?
You definitely need 2 watches. And so many times it's happened to me, like even, you know, during the week I was doing a game and you're kind of like, oh geez, forgot to put it on time again. Like it's so easy to do. Yeah, so I'd have 2 watches all the time. Would never go to a game without. You're having to let that spare everything, Claire. Like, you know, as a player you can walk onto the pitch and just have your gum shield and away you go. But yeah, no, I'd have like spare pencils.
What would you use the 2 watches for?
So 2 watches. The first watch on my right hand, I'd actually just started, and that includes the injury time. I actually don't stop it at all. So I let that go just from zero up to 30. And then the watch on my left hand, that's the one that I'm stopping all the time. So I'm stopping for the injuries, or I'm stopping for the subs, you know, water breaks now as well. But even just, it allows me then, you know, if there's a sin bin or something, then I'm tying it off the watch, obviously, that I'm stopping. That it's 10 minutes playing time, say, in the bin. But then to watch the running time on my right arm, then that'll take account of the 1 minute water break. So different things like that. I can say, okay,
yeah,
stopped at whatever, you know, 15:46. I should be ready to go at 16:46 again after the 1 minute water break.
and
So that's what I'm using.
See for the likes of your sin bin and your water break, Sinead, would you note down the corner of your scorebook or anything, or just, you know, if you go, oh, like just say you were sin binning me and you were saying, oh, number 14 red, would you write 10:01 went off or 12?
Yeah.
Or do you just try to remember it in your head?
No, I'm definitely writing, because you could have 3 or 4 sin bins in one game, like. So I write the time they go off, but also the time that they're coming back on it as well. So just, yeah, I had a game yesterday like that. There was a sin bin, but I'll write the time that she went off at and a time that she's due back on again. So if I know it's like 25:42, then I'm able to say exactly, no, she's back on at 25:42.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Actually pick that up there now. That's an excellent tip to have. You're looking at it across the board, and that's why you're so used to having your 2 watches in there. It's helping you to prepare for games in and around that.
Yeah. But even there, it's like it's a spare, it's your spare pencils. I always carry 4 pencils. Because one day I lost 3.
Ones now with the lunchbox that goes to the game.
Yeah, so just have a lunchbox and have everything in it. Spare whistles. I'd always have a spare whistle in the pocket as well. Spare coin. 2 watches, and I'd always have two of the books. You see Shane having a book there in his hand. I'd always have 2 of those and plenty of the score sheets, just in case wet day, you know, to be times maybe at half time or during a water break, you'd actually have to go and get a new score sheet just to rewrite it out, because you can't read, you know, because the book is so wet. So things like that, you always have spare,
especially with the showers we were having. They're just freaking, you know, attacking down on you, and you've no chance. The whole bit of paper is gone. I suppose that's why we use the pencils over the pens as well, just to make it easier for marking. And you see both our referees, they're in lovely referee kits. I think that's really important for preparing for a game. And I know a lot of getting from the classroom onto the pitch, people will be like, well, I don't have a referee kit. What do I do here? So look, guys, the sell referee kits in the office, and you just contact Croke Park and you give Karen your sizes and they're sent straight out to you. And I know some counties have a stock of them as well. So it's making sure, and I know it sounds, oh, I don't know what to do, but the power of having that uniform on and preparing you for the game is so beneficial in terms of respect for you, for coaches, managers. You know, that they're instantly, it's nearly like Superwoman, you know, or Superman. You're putting on this and you're ready to go. You're the referee now, instead of rocking up maybe in your club hoodie.
It's clear. It's even, I know you're saying there, like, the respect you get, but in actual fact, for me, it's even just the preparation of it all. Do you know, like, I'd always have the spare kit in my bag as well. Do you know, you could turn up in the black kit, but you might have a team actually in, you know, and black jerseys, and you have to change. So even I find things like that threw me off at the beginning, where I didn't have the spare kit with me, or I didn't have different color kits. So I could have like 3 different color kits now with me. I just have them in the bag all the time going to a game. And it doesn't throw me off, because I remember one day it happened. I was refereeing a game in Dublin, and I was given a bib then. A team actually gave me a bib to wear, but I found it really difficult and off-putting. It was to get the book out of the pocket. It was really difficult whenever you're wearing a bib. So even just little things like that, they were annoying me during a game. Like, so it goes back to your preparation.
It's definitely the psychological effect of it and around it. And I've probably draws me to Maggie there. Maggie's whistling. The whistle's in her mouth there. Hopefully you can see it quite clearly. She's showing a signal. And hopefully my next step would be she'd be telling the reason. So as a referee, that's really important, that you practice. Like the amount that we talked about it before, the amount of people that go and sit through a training course and don't blow the whistle. And then when they go out onto the pitch, and a lot of the big fear for new referees coming out is the actual whistle and blowing the whistle and having confidence using that whistle to gain a wee bit so people can hear you. And one big tip, and Sinead, I know you'll be in agreement here, is, you know, you can't go out and referee with a whistle out of the Euro shop.
No, definitely not. And Claire, you're saying that. And I suppose was in a lucky position. Like, I didn't have to practice blowing a whistle or that, like, because I'm a PE teacher. So often would have had a whistle anyway. But I found, definitely you can get away with the PE teaching, Claire, with your normal, you know, €3 whistle or whatever. But definitely for refereeing, I would say anyway, Fox 40.
Yeah.
That's the one. And even like I use that all the time now for refereeing, but I wouldn't use it in the classroom, like PE teaching wise. Like, I still don't need it, but and definitely for refereeing.
That's so funny, because opposite, I do a lot of coaching, and I have my coaching whistle, and I have the Fox 40 as well, and I couldn't use that coaching. It hurt my ears. Like, no way. But it just shows you, because it is very different, you know, in terms of the sound it makes, and it has to be like that in order to gain the attention. And I think in terms of the whistling, you have to get used to blowing the whistle as well. Sinead, wouldn't that be correct?
Yeah, oh, definitely. You have to, like, otherwise you could be left in scenarios on a pitch like where play actually continues because you don't blow the whistle hard enough, and they can't hear you, like, and you're just it just leads to chaos, like, and you're trying to explain what's going on, and then you might have the crowd kind of saying, do you know what's going on that you haven't been. So yeah, definitely I would say just practice using a whistle. If that's, you're going out for a run, do you know, or you're going down to the pitch for, do you know, or even maybe it's a little club game, do you know, club training, do you know, say, listen, I'll ref this, whatever the match at the end, and actually get used to using it. Yeah.
Definitely practice blowing the whistle, practice your signaling with it, because getting used to all of that is really, and people laugh, but practice it, you know, we'll talk about it later on in the tips, but do practice whether you're running, watching a game, and whatever signal you think goes with it. And the more you practice it, the more when you go onto the pitch, it becomes second nature in and around you. And it brings us to the other debate. You can see here, this is my other wee sheet, and I've loads of stuff on here. The top one where it says Dublin Cork is just taking the score. And we go through this debate all the time. People often say, how do you take the score? I hear referees talking about it all the time. What way do you take it? And a long time ago, or not a long time ago, a lot of people would have used tallies. It would have been the thing, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, line 5. But the more and more common and the more out there, a lot of our referees are using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you know, there's a goal. Dublin have scored a goal to put a 1 down there. They score another goal to put a 2. They score first point to put a 1. They score second to put a 2, and put a 3, they put a 4, and they put a 5. Because it's very easy for the referee to read that across. They're looking straight away and going, look, it's 1-3 to 2-6. And it helps them with their marking. And it just seems that for a lot of referees, it's a really easy way and a better way for them to process their score taking. So I am going to throw on to Sinead and ask her and on the spot how she takes her scores. Sinead, sorry.
I take them exactly, Claire, like you're saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I use the little score sheet there that you have down on the slide on the left hand side. I actually have that insert. And yeah, I always use those for every game. So I'd always mark it off in pencil. But one thing that I always do that actually I find really helps, because sometimes, depending on if you know the teams or not, but if you don't know the teams, you can get mixed up on who actually just scored there, and you put it on the wrong side. So what I do is in under the team, the top line, I write the team, but then I write the colour. And then I actually have colouring pencils as well. And I actually just put a little, like if it's purple or green or whatever, I actually put in beside the team the colour of it as well, colouring pencils. I find that helps, yeah, for that one.
It makes it really easy. And I suppose that's the scorecard we're talking about. This is one I'm always asked. And I know if I was a new referee, I'd like to know, how do you tick players, Sinead? So we have notings for our non-technicals. You know, is there a way that you tick or note your players to make it easier for yourself?
No, I just make it like, say you have there on the right hand side the numbers 1, 2, 3 going down as far as 15, and there's 2 little boxes there. So I just put it just one line down in one box. If that's the first foul, second line, in the second box, that's all I do. Yeah, I just do, it's a straight line down. Yeah, and then obviously I'd be telling the players, you know, listen, that's your second. Next one you're in the sin bin. That's what I do. Yeah, and I use that just exactly like you were saying earlier, the boxes. Say the first box there, I put the time that she went off on. The box to the right hand side, then I just make a quick note of what time she's coming back on in that box, along with whatever the foul is, if it's persistent fouling or high tackle, whatever it is.
And the wee score sheets are handy to have because they fit in your notebook. And again, you can get them from park offices as well in sets. And I know some people get a set and then make their own, or whatever way they use the inserts, but they're really handy to have in them books to record the game. And it means when you're doing this bit to the right, it can really help you. And that's a referee's report. And it's not something for people to be afraid of, especially when you're starting out, you know, but it's really important in terms of filming the referee's report and getting used to it and putting it into your county board. And how do you do your reports, Sinead? Would you do them after every game? Would you do them straight away, or watch?
Yeah, it's the day of the game anyway, Claire. Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of got into the habit now of doing a referee's report and doing a reflective piece after every game. Because if you don't do it, you do forget about it. So yeah, I'd always, and report will only take a few minutes. I find the reflective piece actually takes a little bit longer, but you're just on the same day as the game, so I just write it in at that time as well. Like,
well, it's preparing for all these pieces that get you, you know, and in the preparation, and we've talked about it, as you can see this page. This is a page on signals. And this is directly out of our referee handbook. We have a digital referee handbook online, and it's downloadable, or you can look at it, everything, and it covers everything we talked about here, but in more detail in terms of preparation. And it has all the signals there. It has all the names around it. It has wee video clips. And for anybody starting out to try and get pitch ready, I definitely recommend that you flick through it. And it's just called the Ldfa Referee Handbook. And the link is there online, and it's really easy to use. So we have definitely talked about preparation, and we'll have talked about communication slightly. So what we're going to just a couple of wee tips in and out of it. So I just newly qualified. What do? I always, even in the courses, they're saying, I don't really know where to go here now. I'm telling you, sometimes county boards, maybe there's different things going on. As the referee, don't be afraid to take a bit of responsibility in terms of putting yourself out there. So reach out, whether that's by phone, getting the referee coordinator or the county secretary's number. So text them, ring them, or send an email, or do all of them, So you're going to contact your county secretary, your referee coordinator, club secretary. So there are a couple of people you can touch base with. Your county secretary, I've just done this. If there's any games going, let me know. And can you give me the details of the referee coordinator? Most of the times the referee coordinator or the fixtures will set the game. So it's important you know who they are in your county. Every county will have somebody that looks after fixtures and appointing referees. Get to know who they are and ring them, pick up the phone and have a chat. Club secretary, you're probably thinking, why would I let my club secretary know? You have to let your club secretary know, because there could be challenge games inside the club that need a referee, and they're the best games to gain experience. There mightn't be as much pressure on you. Local coach or manager, and this is what a good couple of referees have said to me, they would have went to their senior training and refereed their games at the end. Referee training games, went to an under 16 training session, refereed their 20-minute game at the end. Don't be afraid to start your journey and build your confidence by refereeing in-house training games. The other big one was watching live games. We have so many live games now. Thankfully, the way things have moved on, it's brilliant. You can see ladies football anytime. You just flick it on TG Caher, and then with the streaming service now, there's always games on. Use it as a visual learning. Use it to watch what's going on, and ask yourself while you're doing it, would I have done anything different in that situation? Did I blow the whistle in time with a referee? Would I have called that a push? Did I think that was a yellow card? And your banking experiences and practicing as you go along. Communicating with everyone is key to success. Explain what the foul is to players so they know exactly what you're talking about. The whistle, signal, and tell. Speak to managers, umpires, and lines people. As you develop and grow a team around you, the communication you have with your umpire and lines people is going to be what helps you through it and help you move up the ladder. They're going to be people that are supporting you week in, week out. And ask. If there's anything at all you're unsure of, you have to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask other referees. Don't be afraid to ask the referee coordinator. Don't be afraid to ask the county secretary. Ask. There's no stupid questions. Ask. So look, you can pull out any one of them you wanted, maybe share. Like, how did you start? So when you started and you wanted to get out there after you did your first course and you wanted to get appointed to games, what did you do?
It was probably like exactly what you're saying, Claire. Probably there was a period of time where you actually didn't get a call at all. There was no text message, there was no call, there was no nothing. And like that, yeah, probably I wouldn't have lifted the phone. I probably wouldn't have done that, but I definitely would have text the coordinators or kind of be saying, listen, I'm free next weekend if you need a game covered, or that kind of, I would have done. Yeah, and I suppose the other thing, Claire, I was mindful of as well, and I know it can be a little bit frustrating whenever you start and you want games, like you're hungry for the games and you want to be out reffing all the time. But I think you do have to understand as well, like it's difficult for, like, say, your fixtures coordinator or referee coordinator, and you're in a county that maybe they have their pool of referees, and then there's this whole new group of referees that come in. Like, you kind of have to wait your turn a little bit as well. You're not going to get the senior championship match that you want kind of next year within. There's referees that have been there for the last number of years, like, but I suppose I'd be saying, yeah, like, try and get a game, 2 games, 3 games, but even clear, like, I've learned so much as a lines person as well, like going to games, or even as an umpire as well, actually going to games and just watching, or even if you have the opportunity, like games, to be mic'd up where you're lines person, or that, it just, you learn so much from the communication. You hear little things you can see on the field, and that kind of stuff. I would say as well, just take those on, and
But even
start, yeah.
the briefings, you need even being able to chat to the referee at a water break when we had them, or at half time, or at full time, and say, why did you make that call? And you're genuinely asking, I seen that, and why did you think that was a charge, or why would you give that as a high tackle, or I wasn't sure why you blew the whistle on that incident. Was the player too close to the ball? And being able to ask them questions, and as you say, it's a whole different view seeing it from the line as well, and being an umpire, it just brings you on so much. But I think the big thing is, sometimes you have to put your hand out and ask for games, or remind them that you're there on the list, and to give you a go, and to be patient, and sort of work your way up it.
Yeah, that's it.
Take your time, do a good job with every game you're appointed. And I'm telling you, if you do a good job, or the best you can at every game you're appointed, it'll not be long until you're actually turning games away, because once they get you,
yeah,
it turns the other way.
Yeah, definitely. And Claire, you're saying it works the other way as well. I think, if you're a referee and you have lines people, or your umpires there, like, it works the other way, where you actually say, listen, I made that call, what would you have done? Or did I miss something there? I heard the crowd going, I didn't see anything, or so I know you can ask the referee things, but don't be afraid as a referee as well to be able to take the feedback and actually learn from things you did well, or things perhaps you didn't. Like, as I say, I don't call them negative things. I kind of say it's areas for development. Like, what can I develop the next day out, or in the next month or 6 weeks? What do I need to be working on in order, like you're saying, exactly, to move up, to get the bigger games, like to keep moving up the ladder.
And to get you onto the pitch, which is a big thing. And a part of that is maybe trying to get a mentor. That's what we use, first of all, mentor. And I would say buddies, they are different, but getting support and reaching out and getting support, it is out there. But again, we'll have to ask. You have to put your hands up and ask. So where can referees get support from? Each other. Find somebody that you were friendly with when you did the course. So if you went through that course with 10 other people in your own county, don't be afraid to swap numbers and keep in contact with them, even if they're from a different club, because you can help each other out, because you're basically on the same pathway. You've started your journey early together. So don't be afraid to reach out and talk to each other. The county, contact them, ask them for support, your county executive, your own club or other clubs. Mentors. So we're going to talk a wee bit about mentors, but if you can find a mentor or somebody willing to mentor you, a referee that has refereed for before in your county, that will give you a bit of time, whether that's coming to watch your match, picking up the phone, just somebody that's always there. I can't stress how important a mentor can be. Your family, there's usually always somebody around who will come and watch a game to support you. Friends, and referee support coordinator. So something we're trying to do is to try and get every county to have a referee support coordinator. So somebody designated to support new referees, or all referees as they come out through their journey, to sort of help them stay onto the pitch, But you got to ask and see if somebody will come out to that first match. If you're appointed to a game, if you even have one familiar face out there, it's going to make life much easier for you. So making sure you're asking the county board, do they know any referees that they think that would be good to help you, to buddy you, to get along with, and that's what we're sort of going to ask. And this is the biggest one, getting started. Find a buddy. Who and how? It might be easier said than done. How do I find that buddy? How do I find a mentor? Making sure when you do find them, you ask your buddy or your mentor to your first game, so that you feel like you have a bit of support there. Make sure you have support at your first few games, whether that's even a family member if your buddy can't make it in game 2 or 3, so that you have somebody there familiar with you. Watch more experienced referees and ask them questions. So we touched on that. That's really important. Volunteer to go and be somebody's umpire in the county. They'll snatch your arm off for you to do that. They really will, because they're always looking for umpires, and the experience you'll gather watching another referee live and them asking you for feedback and you giving them feedback is going to build your confidence as well. Act as the lines person and ask the referee questions after it. All of our guys that have done the lines are brilliant. You can see it. They know the rule is as good as the referee. They're going up and down with play. It's slightly different than the umpire. And the umpire, and they're steady. The umpires are very much focused on maybe sometimes one section of the pitch. And they have their own wee jobs to do for the referee in terms of some of them take scores, some of them do other bits and pieces. But the lines person's up and down and involved in the match the whole way, involved in looking for if there's holding, if there's dragging, they're completely up with pace. So don't be afraid to offer to umpire for local referees. It'll give you a different angle and a view of the game. But I'm going to pull back to probably the first thing, getting started. Sinead, when you started off, coming out onto the pitch to referee, did you get yourself a buddy or a mentor? Did you find one? How did you do it?
Yeah, I was probably lucky enough, Claire. I probably had two. Mentor-wise, from the Learn to Lead, actually, Sue Carty, who was a rugby referee, actually. So it wasn't that she actually was a ladies Gaelic football referee, but I found a huge support. Yeah, just as regards, Claire, just exactly what you're saying, chatting with, making decisions, making calls, the psychological aspect of it, I suppose, as well, because I definitely one of those referees probably about, afraid of making mistakes and maybe overthinking, overanalyze things then as well. But the other person would have been another referee, actually, Stephen. And I suppose, Claire, you need to get someone that you trust. You need to get someone that you trust that will tell you exactly what's what. If you want them to be upfront, tell you the truth, and be able to say to you, listen, that went amazing, and you trust them. You say, yeah, no, I did a good job today. Or equally so, on the other hand, it's a case of, I missed X, Y, and Z. What can I do? Okay, what do I need to do in order to rectify that for the next few games or whatever? But like that, asking a local referee, I would say, and ask someone that you admire, that you think is a good referee, that they've been there, done that, or in the middle of the refereeing as well. Because like that, Claire, this is support is there, and definitely I would have found, like, we've our Learn to Lead group now as well, the 5 refs and that, like we still have our WhatsApp group, and we're still supporting cases as well, like exactly what you're saying. Like, I would have gone umpiring or doing a line, like, for some of the girls, on the current Learn to Lead, or a couple of years ago as well. So it's helping out like that, and you get into those kind of circles,
You definitely do. You once you start opening the door and asking, and they help you and you help them, and a bond comes. And don't be afraid to do that. There's people out there willing to help, and the benefits speak for themselves. It completely increases confidence and motivation. You're feeling supported throughout your refereeing process. There's, as you said, Stephen always offered you constructive feedback on your performance, and because you trusted him, you took it on board. And it helps translate the biggest thing, theory, into practice in a supportive environment. So going from reading the rules to practicing the rules in a really safe environment, and help retain the referee in the long run. And that's the key to it. We want to retain our referees. So what do successful referees look like? They should be credible. You're able to stand over it, committed. That's something that has come up. Refereeing does take time and a lot of commitment, so you have to make time for it. And to get better at it, you have to have time to referee games. You won't get better at it if you don't referee games. If you're refereeing games every 6 months, you aren't going to get better. You have to constantly carve out a bit of time to make sure you're refereeing, maybe even weekly, in terms of to develop and grow throughout it. Karen, confidence builders, build your confidence, but build the players' confidence around you by making sure you're going through decisions and communicating them properly. Consistent, the one we always strive after. Consistency is really hard in any environment, but it's something we need to strive after to go through. We're trying to be consistent in our calls, consistent in making ourselves better. And the big one that sometimes we forget about is successful referees are goal setters. They have a plan. They set out goals and they follow through on them. They just don't sit there and think, what am I going to do this week? What am I going to do next week? Those that become better referees are those that have a plan of action, that have set out goals for the year, or goals for the month, or goals for whatever stretch of times ahead of them. Because without a goal, where are you going? You're just moving from one game to another. You have no ambition to move on, or you don't, your goal can be anything as far as, I want to improve in certain sections. I want to get physically fitter. I want to be better on my non-technicals. I want to be better on my yellow cards. Or it could be, I want to referee, and you've only been doing juvenile games. My goal this season is to referee my first adult game. You have to know yourself and set your goals, and successful referees do that. What I'm going to ask you is, because we've been talking for a while, so in the chat box, just if you have anything there for us, any questions at all, supposed to begin with. But then, as a new referee, so you have all said you're new referees there, what are some of the ways you think you can make the first step onto the pitch? What do we think? As a new referee, what are some of the ways you can make the first step to getting onto the pitch? What do we think? Very quiet bunch, Ned.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Must this be all the great information we're giving them? So study the rule books. Yeah, so we've said the rules and the applications definitely come together. Contacting the right people, yeah. Getting games, the big one, don't be afraid, and this is something referees don't often do. Don't be afraid to referee in-house games in your club, training matches. I'm not even talking about friendly games. I'm talking about training games, and blowing the whistle. It'll actually help the players as well, and give you confidence to blow the fouls and see them. So what can we do with helping you on your journey? And hopefully this will give you some tips on what we can help you do. So take the leap. That's one thing I'll ask you. See if you've been in the classroom, take the leap onto that pitch. How do you take the first step? You have to be confident. You have to just decide to take the leap. Say, I'm going to go and referee this game. I'm going to put my name forward. But train to referee. Don't referee to train. Put in the hard yards. Refereeing, you have to be fit for it. People think you don't. So you got to train the referee. You got to be covering them short sprints. The amount of sprints our referees cover in the distance, you're talking 6-7 kilometers a game, easy, and it's short bursts all the time. Be open to constructive criticism. So be open to having a buddy or somebody you trust to help you along the way. Learn from your mistakes. It's only not a mistake if you let it keep happening, guys. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm sick of saying it. Everybody, when they go out there, players make hundreds of mistakes in a game. Coaches in the line make mistakes. A referee is going to make mistakes. Don't let it knock your confidence, but use it as a learning tool. If you're making the same mistake every time you go out, then it doesn't become a mistake. It's a habit. If you make a mistake and you learn from it, then it's a learning opportunity. It's not a mistake. It's a learning opportunity. So don't be afraid to learn and grow from them opportunities. Treat every game the same. And people might think, oh, what do you mean by that? Give the respect to under 12s as you would go out to referee a senior game. You have to treat it the same in terms of that. You have to treat that 10-year-old or 11-year-old the same as you would treat the adult in terms of your preparation, in terms of you being kit ready, you having your box, you having your watches, you knowing your rules, and that will help. Have the time to commit to games so that you're getting better, and self-reflect. Sinead touched on it very briefly there earlier when she said that when she does her match reports, she does her reflection. That's a lot of the referees. That's how you learn. Don't be afraid to sit down and write just to begin with, 3 things that went well, 3 things that you thought you did really well at refereeing today, and 3 things you need to improve on. And if you keep that in a diary, you're tracking your season. You can actually see you're learning. You can actually see how you've improved. So don't be afraid to make. Anybody who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. And that's something I will always say. So when you talk about taking the leap, Sinead, what jumps out for you?
As regards taking a leap into refereeing,
Yeah.
Claire, just I suppose going back to what I said earlier, like, sorry, I actually didn't do it earlier. I enjoy it. Like, I get a buzz, like you get a kick out of it. Like, it's, and I know there's the friendship part, and you meet so many people, and you get to go to nice places and that as well. Like, but you get a kick out of it. You get a sense of satisfaction knowing you did a good job. Like, and as well, like that, exactly what you're saying, like you're trying to learn from your mistakes all the time, but whenever you're moving up the ladder, like, and you get the bigger games, like, or like, that's, if that's where you want to be, like, that's, it's, yeah, no, it's nice, like, but you have to, like that, I suppose, Claire, you're going to, I see the point there is at 4th point, treat every game the same.
Yep.
And you have to do that, like, you're saying the wee under 12 game, like, and it can be mayhem, like chaos, like where they're all in the one ball, or you might have your senior championship game might be easier to referee than that, like, but you got to think as well, these are your next county players, like, so you're the referee, like, you want to do a good job yourself, but in the back of my head all the time is, these are my next, County Donegal or County Dublin players as well, like, you want them to get to learn. I suppose if they make a mistake, you want them to learn what the mistake is and how they can rectify it, because that's your, like you're saying, your wee under 12 girl, like she's your under 14 county player, like in a year or 2 years time, like, so you want them learning very quickly what the mistake is, rectify it, and move on, so they learn quickly as well. But yeah, Claire, I suppose I go back to it's the buzz of it. It's knowing, like, you do a good job, and like that, setting out, it's little, everyone has this goal of referee a final Crow Park, like, that's, ultimate, that's what you want to do, like, but realistically you have to set out small goals, and like that, like currently I'm kind of working, it's just diagonal running.
Yeah.
It's just something that I've been struggling with as regards running during the game, and making diagonal runs to be in the right position to make the calls. So it's making those little ones, but you add all of those up, they add up to be big things, like,
you can start small and add them up. And
yeah,
I think you'd be in agreement that most of the time the hardest part of the journey is actually taking that first step. So I understand there's new referees listening here, and there's new referees going to listen back to us after this, and we understand it's scary taking that first step, taking that first leap onto the pitch. But the hardest part is doing it, actually stepping out and doing it, and taking that first step onto the green pitch with your boots on. And that once you do it, the buzz will come, and you will enjoy it far more than you think.
Yeah. And Claire, that first step, it's just the first step onto the field of play, because once you throw the ball in, like, you're gone, like, you're so into the zone, I suppose, of the game, like, you're not thinking about anything else, like, you're just focused on the game, like, so it's literally throw the ball up, then you're good to go, like, it's yeah, that's the hardest part. And listen, there's days, it's like everyone, it's a wet evening, or maybe you're thinking of going out for a run, or going to the gym or whatever, you come home, you're always glad you did it, but whenever you're heading out the door, you really don't want to do it, like, and there's days like that as well, like, you've been going out, you've kind of taken a game on, and you said you'll be there, but it's the weather or whatever it is, and you're kind of saying, listen, I really don't want to go today, like, but once you throw in the ball, like, it's gone, like, it's Yeah.
You just switch in, but you take that first step to do it, and you will face challenges, and everybody will. And it would be remiss of us not to think that there's going to be challenges ahead of you in terms of your refereeing, because you have that plan, and we all like to be that bike person on the bike going straight to the finish line, and it's nice and easy. But the reality of that is there's going to be bumps in the road, and that's every walk in life. It's not just refereeing. As a player, as a coach, in your job, you don't know if you're going to hit the stone or the pothole and your tire bursts, or if there's going to be a flood and you can't cross the water. There is going to be dips in the road. There's going to be lows. There's going to be extreme highs, but there is going to be challenges to face. And my big thing when you're talking about challenges is you got to learn to overcome them. And for me, we talked briefly about it. Make a plan. While you don't know what's ahead of you, if you have a plan, you can plan ahead. You can have a look at it, and you can revise the plan as it comes, but have a plan. Know that you're not alone. Sometimes as referees, often we feel like we're alone in this because we're one person and the weight of the world is on our shoulder. But there is people wanting to support you. There's other referees like you, like-minded in your counties, in other counties. There is a network out there, so you're not alone. My big one is ask for help and support. When you're finding trouble, ask for it. Say, this is how I'm feeling. There'll be somebody else that has that. And feel your feelings. Nobody can control how you feel. You will know how you feel, so don't be afraid to feel them. Let yourself feel them. If you're a bit upset because you missed a call and you think, God, I should have got that call, and you start doubting yourself, what I'll say is feel them feelings, but park them, deal with it, write down in that book, but this is something I did well in the game. And a real Irish thing is, if I ask any of you now, if we were sitting in the room and I said, tell me 3 good things about yourself, we would all go, and if I said, tell me 3 things bad about yourself, we would all go, oh, I'm to this, I'm to that. So please, when we are looking at anything like that, please always write down something you think you've done well at, and remember that. Don't just jump to the negatives. It's something we tend to do. I don't know if it's just an Irish thing or if it's a worldwide thing, but we really do it a lot as Irish people. We can put out our negatives very quickly, but we're not too good at putting a pat on our back. So, pick that out, deal with it, learn with it. And my big one is next, move on, park it. You've got to park it, and you got to move on to the next game. The best thing you can do after having a really challenging game is to get out there the following night or 2 nights or 3 weeks, reflect on it, but get back up, get on the horse again. Once you fall off, get back on the horse again. That's what you have to do. You have to have a positive mindset and jump back onto that horse again. So I don't know if you have anything you would add there, Sinead.
The only thing I'd kind of add is you kind of need to be honest with yourself as well, Claire.
Yeah.
Like, say, and I'm my own worst critic at times as well, like after games, but you kind of have to be honest with yourself as well and actually say, listen, you didn't have a good game today, Sinead, like you did this wrong, and why was that? And then, like you say, park it, and you have to say, listen, my preparation wasn't spot on. And it could be something as simple, Claire, as, I got the wrong venue. In Dublin, there's a couple of pitches maybe per club, and I got to the wrong one, threw me off time-wise. And you just have to be able to say, listen, that threw me off from the get-go. So in future, my learning is I need to double check, I need to triple check, and I need to leave time, whatever it is. Or if like that, a call, if it's calling a game that you did make that was wrong, then at least you can actually say, do you know what? I made a wrong call. I didn't call that, or I did call it and I shouldn't have. That's not going to happen to me the next day. Yeah. And it's not that you're, kind of saying that to anyone, but if you're just honest with yourself and just actually say that I find has really helped me anyway. As regards parking it, move on to the next game, and yeah.
That's what you have to do. So, folks, just to sort of wrap up with questions, just think of them there before I play this. We actually do a referee academy, and if you fall under this bracket, closing date is actually, we're taking applications up until tomorrow. You can contact me and I'll send you the application. And my email is just cleared out. I'll put it in the chat. But I would recommend anybody, when we talk about support and moving to the next level, we are running a referee academy. It will be a supportive group. A lot of the sessions are online, but we're practical days where you will be asked to referee in our Gilly for Mothers in Dublin and different odds and ends. And it's for anybody 18 to 45 that has refereed before. So the one stipulant is you have to have refereed before. And we will go through online modules. There's a whole load of like-minded people, and I couldn't recommend it enough if you want a bit of support around your refereeing, because that's the essence of it. Is about trying to support the group to make them better to referee within their own county. You aren't going anywhere else with it. It's to support you refereeing within your own county. So that academy is launching and starting at the end of this month. And it would be great if anybody that was on the call tonight is interested. You can just drop me a mail and I'll send you over the application and you can get it filled in and sorted out. So this is just a wee video about the Referee Academy, and I'll just show you that before we finish.
You have to know the game inside and out. There's a duty to make sure the game is played the way it's meant to be played. Making sure the game is won by heart and skill alone. You place the game at the centre. If you've played it, now is your chance to see it from another perspective. Get training, get the skills, and get in the game. Start your path to becoming an Ldfa referee.
So hopefully that inspired you with some good messages in and around there. So just to wrap up, we're getting ready. So what's our checklist to get started? You've got to get that confidence up. So is your name on the county referee list? If your name isn't on that list, you got to get it on the list. Have you identified a buddy? If you haven't got one, find one. Do you have whistles, cards, notebook, and gear? They're all really important aspects of refereeing. Did you increase your knowledge of the playing rules? So if you want to increase your knowledge, we have loads of webinars online on the Ldfa YouTube channel, and it'll talk about different things like positioning, conflict. We do rules discussion with national referees, and they're all worth watching. Have you started to source umpires? So that's something we talked about, having a team around you. Umpires, they're really, really useful in supporting you and getting people to come along to your name. Can you identify training sessions or matches to practice your skills? And hit the self-confidence button and get started. So have confidence in yourself and get started. Check that checklist and get it ticked off and see where you have to work out to improve. So some key take-home messages for me before any questions is have no regrets. It's okay to be nervous, but do it. Take that first step. Keep reading the rule book. It's so important. It helps with everything you do. Constantly getting over what's my red, where's my yellow, where's my non-technical, where's my technicals, what's my rules around the kick out, what's my playing rules. Get a supportive network, someone you can share these ideas with. Ask for help when needed. Say yes to opportunities that come your way. So they might be scary, and there is going to be times when you will be afraid when an opportunity comes. Am I ready for it? Am I not? What I'll say is do it. Take the opportunities that come your way and use them as learning, use them as support, use them as ways to get forward, and enjoy the challenge ahead of you. And I like that wee Paul scene, and it just, referee, free kick, to agree to the game, to agree to the rules, like a bee flying around a tree. Deer, seer, news of the referee, like a seer who sees the deer, able to see to the rules of the game. So that's the referee. I just love that one, like a bee flying around a tree. That's the referee for me. It definitely is moving around there, and hopefully you're not being swatted away. You're moving in along the game. You're stepping out there. You're gaining that confidence, and you're hopefully enjoying it. And that's just so important in and around refereeing. So if I can tell you anything, is don't have any regrets. You can hear Sinead there. She regretted giving it up at 18, 19 years of age and has come back to it and gets such a buzz and loves it. So go out there and step out and have the confidence to do it at any time you can. So Sinead, I don't know if you want to just wrap up with anything.
No, not really. I think like thank you to everyone who came on the call and for giving up their time this evening. I hope they found some of it, beneficial and got some take-home messages that will help them. But also just, I suppose, Claire, if there's anyone, that wants to touch base or contact me, I could be at different parts of the country and any day of the week. So, I'm happy, to go to games, or, if some of the referees on the call want, even to touch base, like you have my phone number and that as well, or email, they want to link in with me, or, a chat or whatever it is. Is that okay, Claire, that maybe they can contact you and you can give them my email and number? Because I'm more than happy to help out. And like, that's exactly, Claire, what happened to me. Like, I got, referees who were coming to my games and, helping out that support network. So I'm more than happy to help out if I can at all.
Thank you very much, Sinead. And guys, I just threw my email into the chat. If anybody's any queries or questions from tonight, you can just send me the email and I'll get back to you tomorrow. There's no problem at all. And if you have any questions for us, we're happy to answer it now for you. Thanks very much for joining us and interacting, and hopefully you've got something out of it, a couple of wee tips. So I want to thank Sinead for her time this evening as well. It's really yep, everyone's just saying thanks to folks from that. I'll let you all go. And Sinead, thank you very much for us. I learned more again, like always. Every time we go out, you learn something different. So thank you everybody for your time, and hopefully you've enjoyed that. And we'll see you all in the pitch or sometime soon again. Cheers, thanks, bye.
Thanks, folks.